Hey, deserving listeners, The Ultimatum, Queer Love on Netflix. Let's watch. My name is Dr. Kirk Honda. I'm a therapist and a professor. Let's see what happens.
I really don't want to talk to you if you went with her.
I don't know if that's fair for me.
Okay, so Vanessa's, I think, saying, I don't want to talk to you if you end up with Yoli. Xander's saying, I don't think that's very fair. Yeah, it's not. Because even if Xander was the one that dragged her on the show, she agreed to be on the show. She could have said no, absolutely, at various different moments in the vetting process, right? So that she's on the show, she consented to, and I think they even had explicit conversations. And I will say that up until this point, a lot of the couples seem to indicate that they have, some pretty good upfront communication with each other. They had a final night together before they broke up, and there seemed to be, a lot of healthy communication between people. But often on these shows, I'm always thinking, oh, there's a lot of health here. I mean, I said that at the beginning of season 4, Love Is Blind. I was like, I don't think there's going to be any drama this season, and Now, I will conclude with season 4, Love Is Blind, that it both had some of the most concerning behaviors we've ever seen and some of the most healthy behaviors we've ever seen. So it's a wider range. The bell curve was kind of flat on that distribution. So for Vanessa to say to Xander that I'm going to break up with you. Now, what does this mean? Does this mean that Vanessa just hadn't really faced what this would actually mean to go on the show? That's normal. It'd be hard to know how you're going to feel. This also kind of lends itself, I guess, to the self-centered hypothesis that she would think, well, she hadn't extended herself into what would happen for other people, that she was mainly thinking about, I don't know, but it's possible that when the idea of going on the show came up, that, and especially if Xander was the one saying, I'm the one giving the ultimatum, so let's go on the show so we can kind of force you to make a choice, that for Vanessa, she focused on, she said earlier that she's a professional influencer. I don't know if that's her only job, but she kind of framed it that way. And if you're a professional influencer, absolutely, if someone asks you to come on a reality TV show as a business move, it would be highly considered by these individuals, right? It would, if they didn't consider it at the very least, it would be a bad business move, right? And some people would say you'd be stupid not to go on the show. Now, I think there's a lot of reasons why one wouldn't go on these kinds of shows. But anyway, so we might wonder if Vanessa was thinking primarily in terms of that without extending herself into the possibilities, into Xander's shoes, right? To extend herself into Xander's shoes is like, okay, well, what if I'm Xander? And Xander's the one giving me the ultimatum, and Xander could actually fall in love with someone and find someone that wants to be with Xander forever, and maybe I'll lose Xander. But remember my long explanation of avoidant attachment style, this sort of thing, that these individuals aren't in touch with their needs. And so consciously they'll say like, well, if Xander leaves me, then okay, it'll suck, but I'll move on to life. But what's happening deep down is something very, very different, which seems to be showing itself right now. And it could be very confusing to both of them. Xander might be like, where's this coming from? And Vanessa might be thinking, what is this? What's happening right now? And she might interpret it as she's being treated unfairly. That could be also a regression. So who knows? There seemed to be a little bit of that sneaking in. And if she were, Vanessa, neglected growing up and signaling frequently of here are my needs and being rejected or abused or something, or just being treated in a cold way, then as a child, you're going to be upset about that. It's very hurtful. And so later on in life, when a situation looks like that or provides the opportunity to have that transference and that displacement, then you'll feel like you're being treated unfairly, even though logically from the outside, there's no unfairness that's happening, because there isn't. They agreed to come on the show. They agreed they would both meet up with someone and be with someone for a month. Xander is doing all that and now is experiencing this.
It's just the whole thing that that she has not been nice to me, and you're still.
The only time I've witnessed it was at the last cocktail party, which is like so brief for me. Like I don't.
Yes, but you noticed it.
Yeah, it's interesting that Vanessa would have this point of view. Vanessa's like, well, I can't believe that you would be with her because she wasn't nice to me. I mean, is that an expectation that you're only going to have a connection with someone that is nice to me? Now, if you're a polyamorous couple, then yeah, that's absolutely a consideration. I've worked with many couples where that can be a couple years of therapy right there, where you have a polyamorous primary relationship. They meet up with someone else, one of the members connects with someone else, and they have an agreement, and they say, okay, we're going to this party, and the rules are such that you might meet someone, maybe even get together, but you can't go this far or something like this, but you can certainly make plans later on, and we'll have a conversation. And then there's a connection there for this person. So this person connects with this person. And then this person feels like this person isn't being nice. They're trying to undermine the relationship. And these two people said, look, we had an agreement that if you do introduce another person into the polycule, that this other person has to be in support of our relationship. They can't be antagonistic to a relationship and to me, no matter how much you are into this person. They have to be supportive of what we're doing. So if that's where Vanessa is coming from, then okay. But I don't think we've heard any indication of those kinds of conversations or agreements.
Yeah. Whatever.
Baby.
No.
Now, a lot of things come, bubbling up as they go through this process. And we've heard from others, and we can imagine for Xander included in this, of now that you can see your partner in a certain light, having been perturbed in a certain way, that you might have some clarity as to whether or not you want to continue with the relationship.
So much progress with Vanessa. And I don't feel like I'm receiving that. I feel like I'm still receiving what I would see as selfish, with her seeing I shouldn't be with someone because of her.
Yeah, I feel bad for Xander. Xander seems like a really nice, upfront, healthy person from the surface. I can't tell, but there's a lot of goodness, I think, exhibited from Xander. And to see Xander, on these kinds of shows, we've seen much more hostile behavior from people in Vanessa's shoes. So I'm not going to say that Vanessa was extremely over the top in terms of her hostility. I think Vanessa was hurting and was coming unglued in a very real way and just needed to get out of there, and was feeling upset with the reality that Xander was connecting with someone. About half of what Vanessa was saying verbatim-wise was not fair, of just like, well, if you're going to be with it. But that wouldn't be unusual as well. I think there's this expectation that everyone's going to go through the process in this very clean manner. But even if you thought you might be able to take it, you could absolutely see someone in Vanessa's shoes being like, okay, screw the process and the show. I'm telling you, if you're with this other person, it's over. Because if I can't handle this amount of contact with you being with this person, there's no way I'm going to be able to handle this. I thought I could, but I can't. Now, you would hope that someone in Vanessa's shoes would say something like, I know I agreed to come on this show, and I know you're the one that gave me the ultimatum, so I know this is completely unfair to you, but I'm telling you, unless we pull the plug on the show, I'm done with you. I feel it. At least that's the way it feels right now. Now, you'd also hope that someone that had that feeling would be like, well, I want to say that, but it doesn't seem fair, and who knows how I'll feel in a month. I don't know. Maybe I should just sort of be differentiated and wait and see.
Because of this, it's not the fact that she's even thinking about, maybe you should be with this person because she wants to get married, because she wants to have kids, and she wants things that I want. It's not that. It's the fact that she's thinking about, I shouldn't be with that person because that's not someone that she gets along with.
And we heard Xander use the word selfish earlier to describe what Vanessa is doing. And I wonder if for Xander, she has a lot of things to say in that direction, or otherwise. Xander seems like she's got a good head on her shoulders. So the fact that she's with Vanessa means that maybe some of the things that we're seeing from Vanessa is rare in terms of her behavior.
And I think tonight was the moment that I realized that I'm not the one for Xander. I cannot stop. It's so hard to think about. It's so pathetic.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Vanessa. It could just be regular old hurt and upsetness coming up, or it could be coming from something prior to Xander, something prior to her being an adult, something from her childhood that is being touched on. I mean, I would say for all of us, whenever we go through something like this, it'll have echoes from our past, but there's a percentage, proportion, right? And I just wonder if there's a much greater proportion right now for her of emerging difficulties from a long time ago. And I'm guessing that a lot of people don't like Vanessa, that they're saying that that Vanessa only wants Xander for herself. She doesn't want to actually be with Xander, but she doesn't want Xander to be free to date other people. I'm guessing people would say that, and I suppose there is an accusation there, but I don't know. I just think it's totally normal for someone to be with someone for a few years, 3 or 4 years, I think, for them, and for Vanessa to be like, well, I really love Xander. I just don't want to spend the rest of my life, and Xander wants to be with me for the rest of my life. I don't know if I'm ready to settle down like that. I'm very honest about that. She's very honest with Xander. And for Vanessa, she could say like, well, if Xander wants to leave me because of that, it's her right to do so, but I don't want her to leave me, and I would be very sad if she left me. And then to come on the show and think that she'd be able to handle the prospect of Xander connecting with someone else, and then to be faced with it would be a shock to the system, and then particularly a shock because she knows that Yoli doesn't like her, Vanessa, which would, I guess, make the threat even greater, right? Because Yoli would be maybe trying to undermine her, Vanessa. All that's normal, but there seems to be something extra there.
I just want to be alone. Having a really hard time tonight, and I'm not even drunk. Like, I wish I could be like, I'm just a drunk mess, but I'm not. I'm just a fucking mess.
Then I wonder if people would be accusing Vanessa of playing this up, that somehow this is performative or something. It doesn't look that way to me. I mean, it could be.
I was given an ultimatum a week ago, and as of tonight, I'm sure it's a no.
Yeah, that wouldn't be the best scenario, right? Someone's giving an ultimatum, I want to be with you, I want to be with you. I remember thinking this the first season, where imagine you're getting an ultimatum, someone's giving you an ultimatum, I want to be with you, I want to spend the rest of my life with you, I want to spend the rest of my life with you. And you're thinking, I don't know if I'm ready for that, but I do love you and I want to be with you, and it feels nice that you want to be with me and that you're ready to settle down with me. That makes me feel special, which I want to feel, but I'm sorry, I just don't want to settle down. And then to watch that other person that's giving the ultimatum connect with someone else, it does lend itself towards that hypothesis or that interpretation that that person wasn't in love with me. They just wanted to get married to somebody. And I thus don't want to be with them anymore. I don't think that's necessarily true, right? But it could kind of be in that direction, right? Like, I'm just imagining for myself, if I were to rewind the clock with my wife and I wanted to be with her, I did, Well, I guess when I figured out I wanted to be with her for the rest of my life. And if I had asked her and she wasn't on the same page, that wasn't the case. But we were, on the same page throughout our relationship, and at least seemingly from what she's told me. But, I don't know if she's literally ever lied to me in our entire relationship. So I have no reason to not believe her. And so if she hadn't, though, if my wife was wanting to move a little slower, then I'm wondering, okay, if would I have even thought and considered going on a show like this or being in a situation like this? And what I would say would be no, because now, if my wife Stacy were telling me, I don't know if I'll ever want to get married to you, would I go on a show like this? I mean, one, I just wouldn't go on a show like this because I've watched too many of them and would be terrified that I would get a bad edit, which happens sometimes, or I would just flip out because they fed me too much alcohol and I wasn't sleeping well, and I just did something ridiculous, and that's what they edited in the show. I just would never do that. But would I consider doing something like that? The reason why I'm going down this road is because I'm wondering, I know the way I felt about things, and of course I'm not a universal human being. There's a lot of different people, but I'm just wondering if it illuminates some unsaid intent from the person given the ultimatum that they're even willing to go on a show like this, right? It's like, I want to be with you, I want to be with you, I want to be with you. You're telling me that you're not ready, and I want to go on a show, and I want to be with someone else, and I want you to be with someone else. Now, if you're on the polyamorous spectrum, which I'm not, then it might lend itself to more flexibility there. I don't know. What do you think? Would you do something like this? Forget about being on a reality show, but if you were in a frustrated situation, and maybe some of you are in this situation where you want to settle down with someone and they're not ready, would you consider for a month both living with someone else to kind of test the waters to make sure that this is what you want to do and to find clarity between the two of you? Would you do that? And if you are willing to do that, does it say something about the ultimatum to begin with? All right, well, that does it for that episode. Everyone, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.